For more on this, I'm joined from Canberra by Richard Heydarian. He's a Southeast Asia Affairs analyst and political scientist. Welcome to you. Thank you very much for being with us here on BBC World News. Prime Minister Mahathir is keen to act quickly. How do you think both of these moves will go down with the people in Malaysia? Certainly the opening of the investigation into Najib Razak so quickly.
Well, the 1MDB corruption scandal and the call for accountability on the part of the Najib government was a rallying cry that actually led to the electoral tsunami that we saw last week. So it's very important for Mahathir to make sure that he brings about the accountability that people are asking. Of course, there were other things that also brought people against the previous government, including the goods and services taxes, rising inequality, unemployment, especially among the youth. But I think the 1MDB corruption scandal was definitely the centerpiece of the opposition's rallying cry. And that's why Mahathir has to make sure that there will be accountability towards that. And that's why we saw a very quick move on the part of the newly installed Mahathir government to ensure that there's at least a travel ban and to cordon off Najib and make sure that investigation will move in the right direction. Now, of course, there are broader concerns about the independence of judicial institutions, of state institutions, precisely because under the Najib administration, there was a purge of many independent thinking elements, including a former attorney general who tried to investigate the former prime minister. And of course, there was also a purge of a lot of important elements within the leadership, previous leadership. So what Mahathir is trying to do right now is not only to push for accountability, but also to reform the institutions of the state and ensure that those institutional states are more democratic and more impartial.
He's certainly got a lot on his plate, doesn't he? In the meantime, we've learned that Anwar Ibrahim, his former protege, then opponent, and now is going to be a partner in the government, and we're hearing going to take over as Prime Minister in a couple of years' time. He's going to be released from prison. Do you think that is a certainty that he'll form a very senior role in the government, given the two's turbulent history, and how important is it that he does so?
Well, I mean, one of the paradoxes of the last elections was that the opposition had to rely on a former strongman to pave the way for a democratic future. Up until this time, or up until today, actually, it's still Mahathir was in charge, and it's still questionable whether Mahathir is really committed to a free democratic future. And of course, his role is supposed to be just a transitional leader. But the fact of the matter is that it might take up to 2 years before Anwar Ibrahim can take over as a prime minister. And over the past 4 decades, not only has Mahathir been a prime minister, he has been also a kingmaker. He brought in Badawi, then had him out. He brought in Najib, then ran against him. He formerly put Badawi in jail. So now there are concerns if, Anwar Ibrahim in jail. So there are concerns whether Anwar Ibrahim and Mahathir will really have a partnership moving forward, or perhaps there could be a temptation for Mahathir to stay in power longer than 2 years. But I think at this point in time, Mahathir's role is to make sure that he is an effective custodian, he is a good transitional leader, and I think everyone is also looking at his cabinet that is under formation. So far, there have been 3 nominations, key positions. So former Deputy Prime Minister Heydarian Yassin will take over the Interior Ministry, which is a very important organ of the state. And then, of course, Muhammad Sabu, opposition leader and former leader of the past Islamist party, is going to take over as Defense Minister. And crucially, the Secretary General and former Penang Governor, Mr. Lim Guan Eng, will take over as the Finance Minister. So you see also a diversity in this cabinet, and also ethnic minorities are being brought into the cabinet. Okay. But on the other hand, you're also seeing Mahathir bringing old players, his former Finance Minister, central bankers, as part of a 5-elder council of elders in the picture. So the composition of the cabinet is also something that we have to look at to
Richard
see where Mahathir is
Heydarian, really
going.
good to get your analysis. Thank you very much.